man, I don't know how to explain it. When me personally, I'm just not a huge fan of these types of fantasy movies. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and whether or not you need to go play the game or know anything about Dungeons and Dragons before you see this movie, I don't know. And that's one of the things that like I was wondering throughout this movie is, are there like little Easter eggs that are being dropped inside this movie that I don't know about because I don't play Dungeons and Dragons and I just know zip about it. I went into this movie with no expectations. Just kind of I guess a little bit, because I didn't expect much out of this movie. The trailer looked like trash to me. I thought it was gonna be a trash movie. Now, is it a trash movie? No. No, it's not. There are some great parts in this movie. The story, let's just talk about the story first. The story's pretty solid. I mean, there's nothing masterful about it. There's no hidden like secret or anything like that. I didn't want to stay for the end credits because I just honestly, by the time this movie was over, just wanted to dip. So if there was end credits, I don't know. I'm sure you can quickly Google that and see if there is, and stay for the end credits if there is, But me personally, I didn't. Like I said, the story was pretty fine. I didn't have a problem or an issue with the story. A lot of my issues, and it's kind of like a constant theme when I talk about these movies. A lot of my issues are not so much with the story or the acting, because I really, honestly, especially with the acting, I really enjoyed the chemistry that these people built together in this film. It's a film about this ragtag group of people, individuals that are coming together for a common goal, right? To help Chris Pine's character Edgin basically recover his daughter and try to resurrect his wife. That's the whole gist of this. But everything from the story to the group of individuals that played it. Justice Smith does a great wizard. I love him. I've always been a huge fan of his. Does great work. And Michelle Rodriguez, of course, she's always playing the badass role, and she's got that pretty much Pat sense, that back in the days, I guess, probably going back to like the Fast and the Furious movies, but probably even earlier than that. And as Sophia Lillis does a great job as Doric. I'm not even quite sure what kind of creature she is, but she shapeshifts. We'll get into that later, which I really like the side characters more than I did the main characters. But anyways, again, more of this. My issues with this movie that just kind of made it drag were crappy, and I mean crappy. I should say shitty almost. Shitty CGI. I do love that they use practical set design in this movie a lot. While I'm not a fan of movies like Neverending Story of Labyrinth, I never have been, so don't ridicule me for this. Even when I was a kid, I just never really took to those kind of fantasy movies like Willow and all that. Hated it. Still do. But again, maybe this movie is not for me because I hate these kind of fantasy things. But I do love how they use practical set design with some of the creatures and characters in this movie. It was awesome, but there were times where like it just didn't work because I'll give you an example. Now, I don't know if exactly all of it was practical design because, and not what I'm talking about is, in specific, there's a scene where a bird gets thrown out a window. It's like a bird person, Rick and Morty reference, but he gets thrown out a window and he looks like he's a practical design, person, the artistry and the makeup and all that good stuff. But when he flies, it doesn't communicate well because obviously he's not gonna fly, and they CG that part and it just looks like shit. All of the falling parts look like shit. The lightning at the very beginning with what's her name? Sophina's character. I'm sorry, Daisy Head plays Sophina, which is the red wizard. The lightning at the very beginning that she uses to like kind of throw out there looks like shit. And for me, that just kind of drags, and I just kind of like, I found myself wondering a lot in this movie of like, how is it that movies like Lord of the Rings or, back in the 2000s, early 2000s, or even like Gladiator had, amazing CG, but looked way better. I mean, I know it's a different style, right? But I think what cinema does nowadays, which kind of poo-poos on the whole experience, is they rely on CGI stuff so much that it really takes away from what we're viewing, in my opinion. I think this is gonna be a dumb reference, but the only fantasy movie that I've ever liked, and is kind of like in this kind of genre where it's like D&D, you got minotaurs and stuff like that. This is gonna sound stupid, and I know this. Your Highness with James Franco and Danny McBride. They used a lot of practical. I mean, hell, the dick that they had in there, is you know, it just worked. It worked way better, and in my opinion, I just like it just took away from me. And I know that's something small to be harping about when it comes to this movie, but again, I'm not a fan of these kind of movies. I really went into this with an open mind, and I just figured, hey, why not? Let's give it a shot. And for me, what I saw in the trailers was a shit movie, was kind of a shit movie. Now, that's not to say don't watch it. I don't want to tell anybody not to watch a movie, because what might not be good for me may be good for you. And that's all I do on this, you know, on my channel, is just give my opinions, my honest reactions. I just left the theaters like maybe 5 minutes ago. I came here, turned on the camera, and boom, here I go. So I'm not one of those reactionists that you know, really want you to weigh heavy on my words because of that reason. I want you to develop your own opinion and then come back to me and tell me why you liked it. I encourage that. So please, if you like this movie, let me know why. And basically just, you know, tell me I'm wrong, but be nice, because, you know, we're all having fun here. But anyways, back to the movie. Yeah, the movie was solid, like I said, with the story. Now, I was bored in a lot of parts. That's why I say it drags. And I'm not sure, because I'm not a master in film. I don't study film, but I'm not sure how do you tell this story without having these long drawn out parts, right? Like, the comedy was hit or miss for me. There were parts where I did laugh and I was like, oh, that's funny. But there were parts where, like, I'm not even joking when I say this, there's a right side of the theater, there's a left side of the theater. The right side at one part laughed, and the whole left side was just like quiet. And again, I don't know if it's because, like, maybe we don't know, or those that didn't get those kind of jokes don't play D&D. I don't know. I wouldn't know because I don't play. So yeah, it was just kind of hit or miss for me in terms of the humor. What else? The last scene, the last fight scene, I have to say was pretty fucking awesome. It was pretty awesome. Hugh Grant does a pretty decent job as a villain. Not the usual type of roles that I'm used to seeing Hugh Grant in, but then again, I haven't seen Hugh Grant in a lot of things since, you know, way back when. You know, probably back to the days when he was dating Elizabeth Hurley. If you don't know who she is, go look her up. There's a whole article on, you know, that kind of stuff, like from his past and all that stuff, but whatever. But yeah, I haven't seen much of him do, you know, much as of late. So kudos for him. He did a pretty good job. Everybody did a great job. Chris Pine, like I said, Sophia Lillis, Michelle Rodriguez. Man, what's that gentleman's name? I'm gonna butcher it. If I say this wrong, please forgive me. It's Reggie Jean Page. Justice Smith and Daisy Head do a phenomenal job. Now, let me get to Sophia Lillis's character. One of my favorite characters in the movie that was the saving grace for me that made me enjoy it. She plays Doric, who is a shapeshifter and is able to, you know, basically, I mean, the shapeshifter. She shapes into like all these animals, right? I really loved those instances where she did shapeshift a lot, and especially when they're continuous. Now, the bad part about that is when the CGI just wrecks it. And like, I'll give you an example. There's one chase scene where she turns into a deer, and the deer looked so like bad to me that it made the one in I Am Legend the one where Will Smith is about to shoot, look amazing. And that wasn't even a great deer. Like, it's things like that. And I think maybe it's because I'm an art director by trade. That's what I do on my daily job, that I look at those things, but unintentionally. And it just kind of bothers me. And I do that even with, like, you know, magazines, billboards, menus that you get from a restaurant. This stuff I look at all the time. But, you know, her character was amazing, was very, very fun. I love the chemistry between Doric and Simon, played by Justice Smith. It was awesome. Justice Smith did an awesome wizard. I gotta say, the CG on him was great. He was very funny. He's always funny in a lot of the parts that he plays. But I kind of want him to step, and he started to do this towards the end. I kind of want him to step into a little bit more serious role, because and I don't know if he's typecast. I know Michelle Rodriguez obviously is typecast because she's always playing the tough girl. But this guy, Justice Smith, always plays the nerdy, not so confident guy, but then I'm gonna get confidence at the end kind of character all the time. And I kind of want to see him, because he seems like he has the acting chops to play something you know, very serious. And if he has, and I haven't seen it, please let me know in the comments and I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, I think honestly for me, those two characters, Simon and Doric, really saved this movie for me. The end fight scene, like I said earlier, was amazing. Actually looked like, just like Shazam, they saved the large amount of their budget for that fight scene. And getting to Doric and kicking ass, they have I have to say this, they have an Incredible Hulk scene moment, spoiler, at the end, and it's super cool. It's super funny. Yeah, it was, I laughed, I didn't laugh my butt off, but I laughed pretty loud at that part. I was like, oh, and now if that was a nod to the Hulk, you know, the Hulk v Loki scene, it was pretty clever. I gotta say, it was pretty clever, and I loved it. I loved seeing it, so kudos for that. Dungeons and Dragons, for me, like I said, was just a big miss. It dragged on, like instead of dragon, I don't know if you get it, but anyways, but it dragged for me. I know a lot of people are giving this movie kudos. I give it coos, I guess. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And but that's not to say again that it's not for you. So please go see it. It is a pretty decent watch for the family. It's great for the family. Is it a date night movie? I'd probably go see John Wick. John Wick 4, Chapter 4 was amazing. But another thing about the marketing that I want to touch real quick is that I think the marketing did this movie a little bit of disservice, because the movie just seemed like ass in the trailers. And it wasn't so much ass, but it was still ass. I don't know how to explain it, but I hope that my words kind of like resonated a little bit with some of you. And if they didn't, then please let me know why. And if, you know, if they did, then I just hope I'm not the only one that kind of felt like this movie was like, eh. And I kind of feel like social media is kind of pushing this movie and saying that it's good when it's I don't like giving like reviews. I mean, not reviews, I'm sorry, like ratings, like a scale of 1 through 10. But if you're really asking me, because I'm not articulating it perfectly, on a scale of 1 through 10, what would I give it? Probably like a 3.5. And that's because I don't even think it's like halfway good. I think it's like, I wasted two and a half hours, I think. I don't know. So anyways, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do recommend everybody go see this, develop an opinion of your own, and then come back, let me know. Hit me, yeah, I don't know how to even say it. Give me a like and subscribe, and we'll talk about it. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Go see some movies, get out the house. Well, why don't you do this? Set the laundry to wash, go see a movie, come back, and you know, fix everything up. All right? Everybody, have a good weekend, like I said, and we'll catch you next week. We'll do this again. Later, guys.